Hello and welcome to the Elephant and Bear podcast. This is the show dedicated to all things interesting in Coventry and Warwickshire. On today's show, we have got Mark Ursell. Mark is a YouTuber who is currently living in the Coventry area. Rather than me give a description of Mark and what Mark does, I'll pass you over to Mark now, who will talk you through a brief introduction of himself. Over to you, Mark.
Good morning, Neil. Yeah, so I run the Trading Formed website and YouTube channel. YouTube is something that I have been doing for, goodness, at least 9 years, maybe even 10 years now. The main thing that I do is I post trading strategy, analysis and backtesting. And on my website, I offer backtesting solution systems.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to the show today, Mark. And yeah, thank you for joining us. Obviously, as you know, this show is focused on interesting stories from Coventry and Warwickshire. And obviously, you have strong links to Coventry and Warwickshire. So tell me a bit about your kind of background with Coventry and Warwickshire and where you are today.
I grew up as a teenager in Rugby. So Coventry, to me, was always the big city. So we would have to come into Coventry in the days when there was lots of clothes shops in Coventry. We would come over here to get clothes. I bought my first suit. I can't even remember where, but I bought my first suit for work here in Coventry. When I was a teenager as well, I remember on a Saturday, we would get the train over to Coventry, eat out. It seemed very glamorous and cool at the time in the West Orchards Mall. And, that's the recollection that I've got of it as a big city and close to where I grew up.
Yeah, and it's very kind of good hearing about a view of someone where Coventry is the biggest city. When I grew up in Coventry, Birmingham was always the biggest city. So it's always kind of the grass is greener, I guess. When you're a teenager, there's always kind of something more interesting from there. So obviously you did some of the shopping in Coventry at the time. Yeah. As a teenager growing up in Rugby, what kind of facilities did you use in Rugby at the time? Because obviously it's a very kind of historic town. From there, but how was it as a teenager living in Rugby?
As a teenager, I think in the early days, it seemed absolutely normal to be there. I think it felt, this is why I mentioned Coventry as the bigger city, it felt a little bit small. And most of the people that I grew up with as a teenager moved away, probably in their 20s, a bit like I did. But a lot have drifted back in the same way that I've drifted back to the area. In Rugby, what did we have? We didn't seem to have an awful lot. We had our town centre. This was before the days of the out of town centre, so I'm dating myself here. And I remember record stores was pretty good. In fact, that's another reason why I would come over to Coventry. Record stores in the days where you couldn't download music from the internet. I certainly couldn't stream anything like that. So if you wanted anything, there was some good record shops in Rugby and in Coventry. And I'm not going to be able to remember the name. I don't know if you can, but yeah, that was one of the other reasons why I would come here.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And is kind of music one of your passions then, is it, Mark?
It certainly was at the time. I think as a teenager, it was probably my biggest passion. And these days, it's still very important to me, but probably not quite that same sense of belonging that I got from music of that era. Again, dating myself there, of being when I was that age, and the music that was particular to me and the people that I spent time with. So yeah, it was very important at the time.
When you're a teenager, the music, the band, the gigs, the concerts, the festivals, etc. Kind of, it's a common thing where it kind of shapes you at that point. Obviously, these days, you've moved back to the area. So, kind of, what drove those decisions to kind of move into Coventry and Warwickshire over other areas at that point?
So the reason we decided, I think the big, strong reason was the family connection still to the area. So we wanted to be near grandparents, other family members here. The simple reason why we ended up in Coventry is because my wife got a job here, and we want to be within walking distance of her work. So yeah, it was an obvious choice. We weren't actually that familiar with Coventry. I'd been away for a while, and so very quickly we looked around and we thought this is a place for us. This is a place that we can live.
Yeah, fantastic. And obviously, there's two kind of key reasons driving out of that. Obviously, there is the kind of the economic, the fact that there's a job that was nearby, but also kind of the family reasons. So, obviously, you've got children, Mark. How do you find Coventry as a city to raise children?
I think it's been absolutely super. We've loved being here, especially where we live. We live in the Earlston area, and the parks here are great. It's very easy to get to Memorial Park as well, which is super. So many different things there. Good schools. Everything you can want for a parent of young children, like what I have. Libraries as well occurs to me. Lots and lots of events. If you're in a smaller area, you do sometimes get a close knit community, but you don't have the range of different after school activities, younger school groups, different church groups, different activities for them. So it's been great.
Yeah, definitely. And I think an area like Ursell sometimes has a village type of feeling to itself sometimes, doesn't it, in terms of the community around the area, but obviously with the benefit of a huge park like the Memorial Park on your doorstep, and city centre within walking distance effectively as well. Perfect. In terms of obviously kind of living in Coventry and obviously Warwickshire in the past as well, Mark, are there any kind of hidden gems that you think that people should be aware of, or that you would kind of recommend people to seek out?
Well, really speaking from my direct experience, and I don't think it's a hidden gem because lots of people know about it, but I just think it's so great, the area just to the south of here around Warwick University, going in towards Kenilworth. You can go straight from a busy city with lots going on. I love running, so I run out from my front door and regularly, every single week, I'll run around the university towards into the Greenbelt, towards Kenilworth, around there. There's so many different routes, quiet roads, off-road areas that I just think is fantastic. And there are dog walkers, there are people exercising and walking, but there could even be more because it is just such a great and very, very close natural resource for the city.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you kind of think about how quickly, particularly if you're a quick runner like yourself, it takes to get from that busy built-up area such as Earlston to around the university and then beyond into the kind of the green belt. It certainly doesn't take long to get into those areas, enjoy those kind of green spaces within the region. Okay, fantastic. Now, in terms of people, is a particular person that you associate with Coventry and Warwickshire? If you were speaking to someone, say, okay, this is someone you really sort of strongly resonate, or think is a kind of a flag bearer for the area.
Well, there's lots and lots of people from the area, of course. Frank Whittle is very closely associated with Earlston and the Common here. But the person I think I've got a bit of a connection with, at least, not personally, but I've got a connection with is somebody who was actually, when I was an undergraduate, maybe not the most diligent student of all time, but I still spent quite a lot of time in a building bearing his name. And it was the Philip Larkin Library at Hull University. And it was a bit of it was a building of its time, 6 or 7 stories high, huge number books and resources and all that sort of thing. And it wasn't until much later, after I moved to Coventry, that I realised that there was a connection, that Philip Larkin is actually originally from Coventry. And so I've lived in and spent some considerable time in the two cities that he's most closely associated with.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that often is the case, isn't it? Is that you don't actually realise certain people are from Coventry or are from Warwickshire until it's pointed out to you. Like, oh, actually, they're from Coventry. I saw on LinkedIn the other day, and someone was posting about being proud of their cousin scoring, and I was like, oh. Is he from Coventry? And if you find out he's from Coventry, so obviously been very famous sportsman over the years. People like Frank Whittle, Philip Larkin, George Eliot from Nuneaton. All of these people you just don't associate because they kind of transcend their local area. But obviously, everyone has to be born somewhere, and a lot of people have been born in the area that you just forget about, really.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's absolutely true.
Please excuse this brief interruption. This podcast is made possible by Plan with Neil. Plan with Neil is an independent financial advisor from Coventry, helping people improve their financial well-being by supporting them with retirement planning, life insurance, and much more. Please check out the website planwithneil.com and book a free discovery session today. Now, back to the podcast. Fantastic. Obviously, it's been the City of Culture in Coventry this year. Mark, have you visited any of the events that have been going on within the area?
I absolutely loved the exhibition at the Herbert Art Gallery on the two-tone and the in particular the specials. I really thought that was a really well curated, well put on, an enjoyable exhibition. So that's definitely my number one. And as soon as I heard about it, I wanted to make sure that I would get there and visit it. Anyone, if it's still on, I'm not sure. Anyone hasn't seen that, highly recommended. The rest of it, I think I've been absorbing it rather than specifically visiting it. I've been paying attention to it, and I think the city has really benefited. Obviously, we had the huge challenges of COVID, which probably didn't help, but the city's made the best of it. Big investment in the infrastructure, making particularly those corridors into the city centre so much more appealing, and improving the open space in the city centre, which is good for now, and hopefully something that will be enjoyed for years to come.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there in terms of those corridors being open up to make it more attractive. Obviously, been a lot of work around the train station, and in terms of absorbing it as well. The amount of murals that are now up within the city centre to bring in more life to it from that side. So even if you're not going to a specific event, you can see the increasing confidence in the area that perhaps wasn't there, in the past. Now, with regards to kind of Coventry as an area, all kind of areas of Coventry and Warwickshire and across the country could always do with improvement. If you had kind of an unlimited budget, what would be the things that you would kind of want Coventry to be spending their money on, or the Warwickshire area to be spending their money on, Mark?
Well, I've got an absolute fascination for the way that transport and transport links can change an area, obviously for the worse and obviously for the better as well. And I think Coventry is making some steps in the right direction. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but I just think what I believe most people want out of a modern city is being able to use as many sustainable modes of transport as possible. So being able to walk places easily in pleasant surroundings, to have things like benches and green space, safe cycle routes for people to get about and travel longer distances, buses, which Coventry is good at, but it's something that's just, so important for so many people, and trams. I just think that's the key to unlocking any city in this day and age. Cars are, of course, important as well, but the key is just having a city that people enjoy travelling around in, And I just think things flow from that. Then you start to get places that people like to go to. So you get nice restaurants, nice coffee shops. You start to get businesses that want to be there. So I just think get the transport right, keep improving that, and the multiplier effect is stronger than anything if you get the transport links right.
Yeah, no, yeah, fantastic. And obviously, there's been lots of investment around the train station over the last few years. And at the point of recording this, it isn't yet open, but obviously, kind of that's built in. Attracted investment to that part of the area. You talked about trams. I saw a video the other day where there's they're going to have a tram link between Poole Meadow and the train station. I think one of the crying shames of Coventry's transport at the moment is the fact that the bus station is so far away from the train station. With that, and hopefully that will kind of make it a little bit easier from there. But you're definitely right in terms of how that then kind of brings in more businesses who want to be in that area and connecting things from there, because it just makes the city feel smaller and have more of that kind of village type of feel, that village type of approach from that side. So no, fantastic with that. Okay. In terms of your self, Mark, obviously you talked about kind of some of your favourite places in Coventry from there. Is there anything that you miss from Coventry's past or rugby's past where you think it's a shame that it's kind of ended up in that situation?
I'm not going to be able to go. I'm not going to need to go too far in the past. The thing that I miss from Coventry, and the thing that was actually quite important to us when we had the birth of our first child, and that was the IKEA store. And it sounds a little bit shallow and a little bit ridiculous in a way, but it was actually really quite a big community focus for young parents, or new parents, I should say, and new mums, new dads. A lot of events were going on there. And I know you can replace it with other things, but it was quite a good focus for the community, particularly for families, I thought. And it is a bit of a shame that it's left. Obviously, Coventry is going to move on and do other things with the building. And we can probably do without a few shelves and, mirrors and whatever else they sold, and get them from other places. But I think something that creates that sort of community space, if that can be done again without IKEA, would be good.
Yeah. It's a shame that kind of things didn't work out with IKEA in Coventry, particularly it's such a bespoke building, isn't it? It's not a case of it's a kind of a normal kind of warehouse shell. It's a bespoke building, which obviously brought a lot of people to Coventry as well. So they might have come to IKEA for the day and then thought, okay, well, we'll pop and have a look around the rest of the shops there, or go visit the cathedral, etc. And obviously now I think our nearest one is kind of Wednesbury or something, so a good distance away. So yeah, definitely a shame that that's not going to be part of Coventry's future as well. Okay, what I'm going to do now, Mark, is go through some quick fire questions with you. So first of all, I think I know where you're going to go with this one. What's your preference, Memorial Park, or Combe Abbey?
I like both, but Memorial Park, I've spent a lot of time there, and I love it. It's absolutely super.
Yeah, I guess for someone who runs like yourself and kind of being so close to the area, it's very handy just to do a couple of laps on there if you don't want to go further afield.
Yeah, true.
Brilliant. And what about West Orchards or Cathedral Lanes? What's your preference between those two?
Wow, dearie me. I would say probably West Orchards, really, for I guess the historical reasons which I mentioned earlier, and it's probably still a bit more of a stronger shopping destination. I know they've done a really good job with Cathedral, but the Cathedral area, but I'm going to go for West Orchards.
Yeah, definitely for the nostalgia from that side. The next one, is there a particular sporting team in Coventry or Warwickshire that you follow?
I don't follow that closely. I'm afraid the Coventry teams.
Yeah, that's far from there. And what would be your preference?
Coventry Rugby, so I'm most familiar with them. And I've walked past the bus lane many times.
Yeah, I guess obviously being from rugby as well, or living in rugby as a child, you've got those associations with rugby, the sport and the town.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. In terms of festivals, there's obviously the Godiva Festival at Memorial Park, but over the last few years, there's been the introduction of the Coventry Moto Fest. Which is your preference out of those two?
I absolutely love the Godiva Festival. I've been there. I'm not sure I was able to get there. I think we were away this year, which was a bit of bad planning on our part. They did change the date, I think, because of COVID things, I believe. But apart from that, I always make the effort to get there. I think it's a fantastic thing, great atmosphere, really well organised, and good event for the city. So, Godiva Festival.
Yeah, no, definitely. Perfect. And if you had to choose between the Coventry Transport Museum or the Herbert Art Gallery, which would be your preference out of those two?
I would say I've actually mentioned it previously, that the Herbert is, I really like that. Lots of different types of events, really well curated. I'm booked to go to another one actually in the next few weeks. They've got the Turner Prize is currently there. They've had all sorts of different things, lots of visiting exhibitions, which are really good, some permanent stuff, and some community ones as well. So the Herbert, thumbs up from me.
Yeah, fantastic. And then the final quick question is: do you prefer the old cathedral or the new cathedral?
I'm going to have to hedge my bet slightly here. The new cathedral is spectacular. Absolutely love the building. Stands the test of time. Probably day to day, I enjoy the old cathedral more because it's accessible. I love the way that it's been left in that way. So, for different reasons, I like them both. I've spent more time in the old cathedral, just hanging out there and enjoying the ambience you get from being in such an old building and in such unusual circumstances.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Okay, so thank you for your time on today's program, Mark. What's the best way that people can find out more about what you do and how it potentially could help them?
Yeah, if you're interested at all in online trading and you want to get some more analytical rigor in your understanding of trading, just go along to tradeinformed.com, and that's spelled TRADINFORMED.com. You can find me on YouTube. Either search for Mark Ursell or Trade Informed. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, so just send me a message and I will be happy to reply.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today. Look forward to speaking to you again soon, Mark. And thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you, Neil. I really enjoyed it.